welcome to the Power Chat series. We have the KTOC Nationals post show with guest Rose Rheaume. Rheaume.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Great. Well, I'm excited to have you on the chat here today for K Talk, especially just you've been on the Power Chat series before, but for K Talk, this is your first time going to the event, first time in New York as a Canadian. Let's start off with your first impressions of the tournament.
Okay, so the tournament was very fun. Very like a lot of people was there, and as usual, Sue was hosting very nice tournament. Everybody knows Sue. She's like one of the sweetest in NASCAR. I love her. But her tournament was great. A lot of people, good competitors. Katie McMillan was there. Aaron Smith was there in the women division. Didn't have time so much to look at the men's division, but I know in the fighters there was good fighters. Um, but overall, it was a very excited event, and I just hope for it to be even bigger next year, right?
Yeah, great. And though you had good competition, maybe not the biggest, but still you came out on top though. Tell me how you did performance wise.
Well, I ended up with first in traditional weapons and traditional form. Performed traditional weapon in runoff against Katie and Aaron. Ended up second, and then won the overall in kata. So that was pretty cool. I've been running around with school lately, so that went. That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember last time we talked, you were also in school and it was just like you were juggling a lot. So we'll get into that. But what was your impressions? What were your thoughts on New York?
Busy. It's so crowded. I come from countryside, moved to Toronto, which is a little more crowded, right? Oh, sorry. And then ended up in New York, and it was even more crowded in like Times Square. I was like, is that Times Square? Is that because I watch all those teenage movie shows like Gossip Girls
Mm-hmm.
and like all those little things that happen in New York, and it was just super funny to compare movies and the real thing.
Yeah, I had no idea that you were sort of the countryside of Canada. I knew that you were in Canada, but that is definitely a change.
Yeah, yeah, big time countryside. Like it's in between Quebec and Montreal, like a super tiny town. There's like 7,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's not like a lot of people. My
Yeah.
neighbors have like a farm and a garden, and we have like pools, and people go around and they have horses, and then
Oh
well,
wow.
well, we do have cars,
Yeah,
but
yeah, of course, of
horses.
course.
So and then you just go to Toronto, and then it takes you
Mhm.
twice the time to go for the same amount of distance, and then you move to New York. You go to New York for one tournament, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Now, was it you were super busy. How was it sort of like run from start to finish?
sorry, go again.
How was the schedule?
Oh, like the tournament schedule. The tournament schedule was pretty good. We started on time, and then we started, alternating the divisions between the veteran women's, also, and then the kids start all at the same mats. Like there was a lot of mats, so everybody could start pretty much at the same time. Um, they ran a little bit late, like later during the day, but otherwise it was pretty alright.
And it
I've
was one
seen.
day event?
Yeah, it was all a Sunday event. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you went with Mike Politi, right?
Yeah, I drove there with John Peliti on the Saturday.
Oh, John Politi.
Yeah, and then we met with Mike and everybody else,
Okay.
and then we drove back on the Sunday after the tournament.
Cool. How did you do you know how any other competitors, fellow friends or teammates did?
Uh,
It's hard to keep track sometimes,
yeah,
but
it was very hard to keep track because it was a very small. Like I was pretty much the only one that went with Diana from Mexico,
Mhm.
from TME.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 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 and she fought very well too. She did great. I'm not sure about her result though, because
Uh,
she had to catch a flight, ended up leaving early, like a bunch of things. She ended up in the runoff for fighting,
oh
or
wow,
yeah,
busy.
and then I know some friends from Ottawa were there too, and they did pretty well. So
Yeah. The nice thing about is KTOC is I'm sure that there were a good number of Canadians who can just kind of come down. It's closer. I mean, at least it's drivable, you know?
yeah, yeah, big time. I know David Bassinot came with his
Mm.
kid. They drove all the way from Quebec. I mean, it was
Probably
a
10.
yeah, it's a 10-hour drive pretty much from there. Pretty sure.
Yeah. I
Cause from
remember
Toronto.
driving to Quebec with for the Quebec Open from New
Yeah,
Jersey, and that's like 10 hours, but it's still a beautiful ride. Thankfully, there's no snow issues or anything like that.
I don't think there was any snow issues. We did got surprised when we got in the mountains and there was snow because
Mm.
we didn't have snow yet, but
Mhm.
now it hit us. Now we have snow.
Okay. So now you're currently in school. What are you studying again? Remind me.
I'm studying traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, yes, I remember that. How
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And you're also competing and training. How is that going, balancing?
Insane. It's insane. It's a lot of like planification, work, late night, early mornings. Um, I'm graduating in June, so my last semester is like this January until June. I don't have a break. Um, and then I have the board exam and everything else. So I don't know how January is gonna be because the priority will be school. But as soon as I can compete, I'll for sure go.
Cool. Wow. And then the plan after that, so you take your board exam and then you become
And I
certified.
yeah,
Wow. And then you start your just regular job.
job. Yeah, yeah. I could keep going in the studies, but I need a little break.
Oh, for sure.
I'll need a little time to like figure out what I want and where I want to go. Because I like Toronto, I love Quebec, so where do I go from there? I don't know. So we'll figure that out in due time.
I know that you and your dad used to compete or, he used to train with you. Do you guys still do that together or do you like check in with him because you're on your own?
Yeah, I do check on. I'm not alone. I'm not on my own. I
Oh,
do have like a lot of. Well, I'm on my own here in Toronto, but I do have a lot of people, around me, making sure I'm alright, making sure I'm training properly, and everything else, right?
cool.
Um, but yeah, my dad just came back from Japan actually. Um, with
What for?
he went training over there, in Japan with my mom and Joseph Martinez. They were there and they trained 2 weeks in Okinawa, just karate. So
That's super valuable. Have you picked his brain yet?
no, not yet. I'm pretty jealous. Um, I wish I could just go grab the brain out and just say, "All right, I got the info," but he'll teach me in due time. That I know for sure.
Great.
But
And you'll just have to make your own trip when you're not so busy, you
oh
know?
yeah, that's the plan. Like hopefully after I do the board exam, I take off to Japan and I take vacation and I'm gonna go and train.
Yeah, great. Now, what have been you've been, competing for so long. You used to do all the divisions. You used to do CMXs, and you used to fight. I remember a little bit
Yeah,
in
did.
competition.
Yeah.
I think we might have fought against each other in teams at some point. Um,
Yes.
but how has you really kind of honed in on what your passion is?
Um, I just stick to it. I think it was the biggest challenge for me was the pandemic, right? Like, of course, I had access to a dojo 24/7, but I really did miss the people. Like, how we compete, we go around, we meet people, we hang out with people, we talk, and then you go home.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of becomes addicting to go
Yeah.
and compete. And then you're like, okay, January it's Chicago.
Yeah.
So I gotta go to Chicago. And then April is Ocean State and Quebec Open. So I'll go to Ocean State and Quebec Open. Right? And then later you come to July, August, it's like America and DC. So you're like,
Mhm.
okay, I gotta go to these ones. And then you keep going during the year, and then you have the Toronto, which is happening like next week, right?
Mhm.
At the Paramount Center. Um, and then I just after the pandemic, I was like, I gotta go back to that routine because when I don't go, it's like it's sad, it's not therapeutic.
Yeah.
So it became like I don't know, it was just a thing. I couldn't stop. I couldn't. Um, Fighting became hard for me because I was like in my dad dojo and I didn't have anybody to train with. So I guess it was more of a like it gets not boring, but doing pad work is not the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I missed having somebody to fight with
Mm-hmm.
because my friend, they went to school and they had other stuff, so that's why I gave up fighting. And then now I stick to weapons and form because just open form was too much. I can't flip that well. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
flip, I can do gymnastic tricks, but all the kicks and stuff, not a thing. So I just stick to, I think, the best that I
Yeah.
was at, and then I just stuck to it.
Yeah, and then you just kind of lean into really where your body is best for.
Yeah, and then it was okay. Are we training for that tournament? Are we training for that tournament? And we just go for it. And then it was one tournament at a time at some point, but then now
Hmm.
we're back at it and doing it again.
For K-Talk, what was your favorite part of the event? Whether that's
Mm,
inside the stadium or where it was held, or outside, what did you like about it?
I did quite like the how close it was from the hotel to the venue. It was not too far. Sometimes we have to drive like a lot to get to the venue. From the hotel to the venue was pretty quick, pretty easy to access to. There was straight parkings, so
Mm-hmm.
that was fun. Um, and then the way the mats were like like together, so like
Mm-hmm.
all the mats were tied together.
Yeah, it was like one long
Yes,
one. Yeah,
yeah, we should have that all the time. Because
yeah,
you know how we do stuff and the mats move, right? And then we're
yes.
like, and then it gets a thing, and then we're like, have to put the mats back, and then we have to slide them back, and then the jaws are off centered. Well, at least this way, we had a lot of mat, a lot of space, right? And
Yeah.
then I'm a big fan of the 8x8 mats,
Hmm.
and like give us space to
Hmm.
move and showcase what we know. And then by being all sticking together, we were able to like not have to move around, and we didn't feel the mats moving, and that was a very good idea.
You know what I also didn't like about mats or that are like individual is it would always be on this like concrete slab if it wasn't carpet, and it would be so cold to go from mat to mat, and your feet, you need little slippers or something. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming you didn't have to worry as much about that.
No, no, no. It was perfectly fine. It
Cool.
was perfect.
Great. Okay. Well, are you ready to dominate next week at the Toronto Open?
Oh my god, I wish I dominate. It's gonna be a crazy awesome weekend. It's all start with as usual the seminars on Thursdays,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the seminars on the Fridays. Lots of people coming to teach. I'll be teaching, and then we have like Ross coming,
Yeah.
and then we have Juliana, Justin, um, that are like been doing very great on for them from themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Cobra Kai kind of show,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also have Ben and Nico that are gonna do another seminar, and Casey that is coming again for Bo, and Jared Liger coming for Trad with Mason. So it's a lot of big names that are all coming together to teach for free for the kids,
Yeah.
right? Adult kids, whoever is there and wants to learn and take
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity for themselves. So that's gonna be good. And then dominating, the girls are gonna be strong though. The division are gonna be good. So far I know Katie's coming, Amber is coming, um, and I
Yeah.
know some girls that are doing OKF, like that's like the provincial WKF in Canada. I know some of them are coming to compete in trad too. So that's gonna be interesting. A lot of people from Quebec are coming up too. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be very exciting.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see how you. I'm first of all, it's going to be fun for you to have your seminars, but also to compete. You got a good opportunity here at K Talk to really just feel
Get that
yourself out on
going.
the mat. So that's great. Well, Rose, thanks for so much for coming on the Power Chat series. Congratulations on your overall and your
Thank
first
you.
time at K Talk.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys. Okay, we're